All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. What's up, chat? Um, Apologies for earlier today. It was out of my hands, but I couldn't get the live stream to work this morning for baseball, so I did upload a video, and then uploading the video, it took forever to process. So um, hopefully that doesn't happen again or anytime soon, but technology does have errors sometimes. So if you have not downloaded the football document, which is massive, make sure you get that. Save it. I did some updates. If you check it out right now, you should see a whole bunch more content. I'm going to continue to update it and add things um, throughout the season. So, what I want to do in today's is focus on the connections between who has the 100 and the 54, because it's the 100th NFL season and it will end with Super Bowl 54. And notice when you write out 100 in the most pure cipher, it is 54. So for today's live stream, I just want to have a focus. We're just going to go through and we're going to pick out who has the 154 connections. And we'll go further on this. Like we can look at things like teams that could become 5-4 in the playoffs, 5-4 versus matchups this year. We'll do all that, but today I want to look specifically at the Gematria. So team names, city names, stadium names, coach and QB names. And in time we can think about things like star players. Maybe there's some star players who have the connection that we need to consider beyond the QB and quarterback. But typically the scripting is around the QBs and quarterbacks. Patriots are a team this year where if they play in the first round of the playoffs, we talked about this yesterday, if they got a win in the first round, they'd be 5-4. So I wonder if the Patriots don't get that first round bye this year. Oh, hold on, I hear the phone ringing back in the corner. 1 second. Caller?
Hey, what's up, Zach?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, I just had a quick question. Yesterday in the video, you were talking about how lining up birthdays with players can help figure out fantasy.
Right.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so one of my favorite examples of all time was I said I pointed out a game for the Steelers that was 84 days after Antonio Brown's birthday, and he wore 84 for the Steelers. And I said, just remember this day, you're going to see Antonio Brown have a big game. And sure enough, he did. He had a monster game. His first 2 receptions of the game were 2 touchdowns.
Oh, wow.
And it's just like that. When you can pull out those examples of the jersey number with the distance after the birthday, it's always money in the bank. It's like the Eagles and Patriots Super Bowl. I said if the Eagles win this Super Bowl, it's going to be Zach Ertz who scores the winning touchdown. He wore the number 86. It was 86 days after the Super Bowl, his birthday. And that year, the national anthem had been adopted for 86 years. So anytime a player has an alignment with their birthday and their jersey number, it's always a good thing.
Okay, so we want to look at the alignments with their birthdays and then their jersey numbers.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Right on that.
So,
All right,
man. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, take care. Okay. So anyway, the Patriots, they don't have the connection to 54 and 100 through the team name, through the stadium name. I put the full names of the coaches and quarterbacks in every decode, as well as the name they're most commonly called by. Bill Belichick, he doesn't have the 54 or 100 either. I was really hoping Brady would retire this offseason. But they are missing the connection to those numbers. Meanwhile, they have big connections to 99 and 53, like how they won last year's Super Bowl, the 99th NFL season, concluding with Super Bowl 53. So Patriots don't have the 154. The Dolphins, I don't think anybody, I doubt anybody, I don't even think Miami fans are betting on the Dolphins to win the Super Bowl, but they are hosting the Super Bowl. But they are also missing the connections to 154. They got Brian Flores as their coach this year. Adam Gase, who coached Miami last year, went to the Jets, which is something to think about. And Fitzmagic, the QB there this year in Miami. who's coached or who's been quarterback for the Jets in the past. He's been all over the place. So, continuing our scan here, we will come to some teams that definitely have the connections and we just want to document them. And I encourage all of you to use pencil and paper, have some sort of notebook, journal somewhere, where just a quick reference. So the Jets, they're the only team that has the double connection to 54 in the nickname. And like we talked about, just one more time, because I want to make sure everybody knows this. If you use Jewish Gematria, which is the most relevant cipher outside of the base ciphers, and you write out New York, it's 1485. And when you add 1 through 54 together, it equals 1485. Also, don't let me forget, when we're done looking at the things we want to look at here, I also want to talk about what Missy Elliott wore last night at the VMAs. Could be a big Super Bowl clue. Just in case you missed the content I put out on that. But New York has a 54 connection itself. The Jets have the double 54 connection. Bills also equals 54. But the Jets with this double 54 could be a special season for them. They got the coach from Miami this year. Adam Gase apparently doesn't have a middle name, but every coach that has a middle name, every QB that has a middle name, I was sure to get that Gematria out there. And again, the more you look at this, the more things will stand out. You might notice something one day that you overlooked 10 days in a row. Gase 22, could he be there in the Super Bowl? On February 2nd, 2-2, I think the Jets got a real shot this year. They're one team that I'm really eyeballing and still trying to put all the pieces of the puzzle together to make one really good, informed assumption on the Super Bowl before the season begins. Sam Darnold, remember Darnold, 68. The Jets haven't won the Super Bowl since the 68 season. And this year, first drive of the preseason, he went 68 yards down the field for the touchdown. Flawless drive. The guy who caught the touchdown, his name Gematria was 68. So, Jets definitely got the 54 connection. Bills got the 54 connection. But between them and the Jets, I find the Jets to be a whole lot more interesting this year. Sean McDermott, he's got that 111-39 in his name like New York. You might recall the giant 111 ritual, the big upset over the Vikings last year. And Josh Allen doesn't have the connection to 5400. His name is 33 like New York, though. Okay, so now we're on to the AFC North. So in the AFC East, the only 54 teams were the Bills and the Jets. The Ravens, they do not have the 54-100 connection. No connections to those numbers. The Steelers, a number to keep in mind besides 54 and 100 is 243. Again, the reason why is because of the planet Venus. Venus equals 54. Venus, one day on Venus is 243 days on Earth. And we're seeing these numbers come together in recent news stories. The best example so far in the NFL was the death of Darryl Drake on August 11th. The Steelers wide receiver coach, Darryl Drake equals 54. He died 243 days after his birthday. Pittsburgh Steelers, 243 with the alphabetic order and the reverse alphabetic order. And the Packers coach this year, their new coach, his name's 243. So, Packers are a team that could possibly tie the Steelers in Super Bowl wins this year. I'm going to make a note here. I have to think about all the stories. I'm going to try to tie together all the stories that have happened this offseason and just like make a note about them. And I'll link the blog post too. I'll go back and do that. But just so we can try to keep all the stories archived this year that are relevant to teams. So throughout the season, if you see a news story that I don't cover, let me know about it that's related to these sports teams, these cities, because I want to make an index for under each team reference so we can go back and look at these stories. You know, sometimes you can't put the pieces of the puzzle together right away. You got to think about it a little bit. So my whole goal this season is to have everything relevant to this season organized in this post, a giant reference. So let's just say we can't figure out what the Super Bowl is before the season starts. We'll be able to figure it out as soon as possible. But Darryl Drake, the Steelers receivers coach, Darryl Drake's 54. He died 243 days after his birthday. I have a feeling we're going to see those numbers, that pairing, come up a lot. Pittsburgh Steelers is also 81 like Venus. And the Packers coach, the Super Bowl is on the 81st day of his age. So, Steelers are interesting. I don't think they're the Super Bowl team, though, this year. But they might be connected to a whole lot of riddles. Tomlin doesn't have the 5400 connection. Neither does Roethlisberger. Okay, the Bengals. Cincinnati equals 96, so does Dalton. This year, interestingly enough, the Super Bowl's 96 days after Dalton's birthday. And this year, it'll be the second time in history that the Super Bowl's on the 33rd day of the year. It only happened once before. It was Super Bowl 48, won by the Seahawks over the Broncos. Remember, Seahawks equals 48. Seattle Seahawks equals 43. They won with 43 points over the Colorado team. Colorado 43. Football 43. But that year, the Super Bowl also would have been 96 days after Dalton's birthday. So it doesn't mean that he's going to the Super Bowl. But don't forget that the Bengals started the season very well last year, and then they got kind of beat up. So it is an interesting alignment for Dalton. There was a lot of cat stories in the offseason. The Lion King. We saw how the Lion King movie was synced up with the last time the Lions won their division. I have trouble believing the Lions could win their division this year. They have the hardest division in football, I would say. So, NFC North. The Bengals do not, or excuse me, Dalton's full name is also 100. Dalton is also 100. So, Dalton's very interesting this year. What could he do? And just remember, I'm going to have to go through and switch all these out. But I did note below each one that this is actually the Bengals' 52nd season, not their 51st. If you go to Pro Football Reference now, it'll say 52. It's just I've been building this post for months. So Pro Football Reference hadn't updated the season count when I posted those there. So everything is plus 1 year in terms of seasons. Last year was the Bengals' 51st season, Cincinnati 51. And they didn't make the playoffs or anything, so... Okay. There's Dalton, 96 and 66, just like Cincinnati. It is the Bengals' 52nd season. Andy Dalton's 52, so I do wonder what Dalton's going to do this year. Okay. And remember how the Bengals season starting in Seattle, which is funny because Russell Wilson equals 54, and Russell Wilson was born in Cincinnati. So there's something up with Russell Wilson's season starting against Cincinnati, the town he was born in. Russell Wilson, 54, always a big number with his career. Okay. The Browns, it's the Browns' 71st season, Browns 71. A lot of hype for the Browns. Last year we were able to call the losing streak of the Browns ending in that game that it did because it was exactly 216 days after Jim Brown's birthday, and 216 is the Cleveland area code. Just looked too good. And if I remember right, that game was against the Ravens on primetime. I think it was the Ravens. Of course, the old Browns team became the Ravens. That part, I'd have to go back and look to be sure about that. But I do remember the 216 riddle with Jim Brown. And Jim Brown, he's getting up there in years. I wonder if we could see a Jim Brown headline. Notice he's 83 years old. Football's 83. Cleveland Browns is 83. Let me spell it right. Cleveland Browns is 83. Football's 83. Ohio's the birthplace of football. As we know, murder's 83. So, you know what? Let's just see. I actually want to know how many days it is from Jim Brown's birthday to the start of the season this year. Begins September 8th, which is most teams will play September 8th. It's the first Sunday of the season, which is the 251st day of the year, which is the 54th prime. Perfect Sunday for the 100th NFL season, ending with Super Bowl 54. So the season begins 29 weeks after his birthday. Ohio's 29, football's 29. The Browns, let me see something. They play Monday night here, and they play Sunday again. So this year, that Sunday is going to come 217 days after Jim Brown's birthday. Going to miss any 216 riddle. But yeah, I won't be surprised if we get a Jim Brown headline this year. So. And if you're wondering what I mean the death of Jim Brown. That's what I mean. So. Should something like that happen, have to see how things sync up. But the Browns do have interesting numbers in light of it being their 71st season. I do not believe they have the 54 or 100 connection. So. Actually, let me come back up to the Dalton thing. I want to document as we go along the things I haven't documented, so. Alright. Put that in the wrong spot. Let's see, I want it right here. Okay. Should Jacksonville make the playoffs this year? Just notice if they went to the first round and they played in it, they'd probably lose to become 4-3. That's a big number with Jacksonville. Jacksonville's 43. Football's 43. Florida's 43. Okay. So the Texans. I wonder if the Texans can break their curse against the Colts now that Andrew Luck's out of the league. Andrew Luck's absolutely owned Houston. Again, his father played for the Houston Oilers. He played his high school ball in Houston. Houston equals 112 like Andrew Luck, like Horseshoe, like Brissett. Brissett also was a QB for the Texans for a minute. So that Texans-Colts connection, there's something deeper there. But the Texans have been absolutely owned by Andrew Luck. So I wonder if they flipped the switch on that now that he's retired. All right. Yeah, O'Brien and Watson, they don't have the 5400 connection. The Jaguars, they have the 112 connection too. The AFC South and 112. What is it about the AFC South and 112? Roan doesn't have the 54-100. Nick Foles, he doesn't have the 54-100 either. Let's see. The Colts. The full name of the coach for the Colts, Frank Michael Reich Jr., equals 100. Remember, Brissett, the Colts are a good team, so I wouldn't totally discount the Colts yet. Brissett, the Super Bowl will be on his 54th day of his age. I like the riddle a whole lot more with Andrew Luck, but the Colts are still very interesting, and the coach's full name is there. He came over from Philadelphia after they won the Super Bowl. And remember, speaking of him coming over from Philadelphia, that year everyone told me I was wrong about my Super Bowl pick when Carson Wentz got hurt, and I told people, no, you guys aren't paying attention. You're not looking at how all this syncs up. Nick Foles is the perfect man for the job, so, now we got the backup quarterback taking over for the Colts. And his birthday is real interesting in light of the day of the Super Bowl. Remember, Andrew Luck retired at age 29, 109 days from Jacoby Brissett's birthday. 109 is the 29th prime. Football's 29. He played his college ball in Miami. He's 26 years old, magic number. Okay. Titans, they are one of the 5 teams in the NFL with a 54 connection. Their stock definitely went up in the AFC South now that Luck's out. I'm wondering if Marcus Mariota is going to end up being the QB. They have Tannehill as well, who I think is probably the better player, but he has trouble staying healthy. But as far as I know right now, Mariota's the guy. I noticed Mariota has the 112 too. There's got to be something about the AFC South and 112. There's got to be a reason it connects to like every team there. Caller?
Hey, what's going on, Zach?
Hey, what's up, man?
Nothing, just listening to your broadcast. But I wanted to ask you a question and kind of see like what you felt about this. So I went back in history and I took a look at Breeze, because I'm specifically kind of isolating him. I saw that because I went back to 2000, the only year that New Orleans beat the Patriots was the same season that they won the Super Bowl 44 in 09.
Right.
And that was November 30th, 09. And from that day to the Super Bowl was 64 days. And I noticed, like, if they play this year in the Super Bowl, Brady could be 6-4.
That's a good observation. That is a good observation. Is there a connection? Is there a connection to 64 in New Orleans or Saints? I'm trying to think about that right now.
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but I kind of feel like there is.
Yeah, for some reason, I'm thinking there is too, but maybe not. Oh yeah, New Orleans Saints is 64.
Okay, so yeah, there you go, right there. I kind of felt like there was, but I wasn't too sure. But just expanding off that a little bit, also going back to the games they played versus each other. So Brady is 2-1. Him and Belichick in the Breeze and Sean Payton era since 06. They're 2-1 versus the Saints. And like I said, the only year that they lost was the year that they went to the Super Bowl, the Saints, and they beat them.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
And then the Patriots' victories against them, one game was 36-20, and then the other game was 30-27, which is 57. We know what that number represents, and also the 66.
Right.
If you combine their scores, 36 plus 30. And also, the one of the games was September 17th. It was, and New Orleans lost 20-36 against New England, and that was also Patrick Mahomes' birthday, the person he just played in their last Super Bowl.
Right. Huh. Very interesting. Yeah, those are great observations.
So, like, I I kind of feel like New Orleans, Indianapolis, and New England, they kind of have like this connection, and then that Andrew Luck retiring kind of just brought me back on that, because Brady winning his first Super Bowl in Indianapolis, and then also Breeze's connection to the Miami Gardens.
Right.
2-2. It's on February 2nd, obviously. You know that.
Yeah, great work. All right, man. Appreciate it.
Everyone.
So the Saints are one of the teams in the league with the 54 and 100 connection. Their stadium name's 100. New Orleans is 54. Drew Brees is 54. And last night at the VMAs, what Missy Elliott wore, it took me back to another riddle. For those of you who weren't here last year, I started out, by the end of the preseason last year, I liked a Patriots and Rams Super Bowl. And I never stopped liking that, but just as riddles went on throughout the year, just the Saints got so many tributes. By the end of the year, I finally shifted to thinking, like, God, maybe it's actually going to be Patriots, Saints. And one of the things I was looking at was how the ritual synced up with the death of Will Smith, the NFL football player for the Saints, how that actually connected, perfectly synced up with last year's Super Bowl, which was strange. But if you recall, the day that Will Smith, the Saint, died, he was supposedly shot to death, that the MTV VMAs were going on that same day, the movie awards, and the theme was gold and black, and Will Smith, the actor, got the Lifetime Achievement Award, and he had just done the movie called Focus, which was about gambling and professional football in the city of New Orleans, and it was just obviously, it was no coincidence. The death of the Saint, Will Smith, the actor, at the awards with the same color theme as the Saints. So anyway, I see Missy Elliott come out last night wearing this gold 22, and a lot of people, well, I shouldn't say that I saw it. People notified me and sent me this over the phone. But a lot of people, when I made the video, they commented that on her pockets was the number 54 and 17. 54 and 17. And 54, of course, is Super Bowl 54, right? But she, Missy Elliott, so she was awarded for her hip-hop career, which started in 97 when her first album came out 22 years ago. The name Missy's 22. And so is the name Breeze. Breeze is 22. Drew is also 22. Remember, Saints is 19. It's going to be Drew Brees' 19th season. Saints equals 19. The Super Bowl will be on his 19th day of his age, which will be 41 years old, the big Super Bowl number, just like how Brady won it at age 41 last year. And so anyway, I just saw this with Missy Elliott, and then she had a 54 on her pocket, and New Orleans is 54, and a Super Bowl 54. And the anniversary of her album from 22 years ago, Super Duper Fly, July 15th to the award was 43 days. Super Duper Fly's 43. So is football. It's also 42 days later, but 43, big football number. Missy equals 85, like National Football League, so she'd be perfect for symbolism for a riddle for what's rigged and to come. So, make sure there's no other points I want to put in there. From the event to the Super Bowl is 5 months and 7 days, kind of like 57. If you write out 57, it equals 131, like championship, like Super Bowl. Caller?
Hey, Zach, thank you for that, Missy Elliott. I didn't even catch that 22.
Right.
But what's the 17 connection?
She, on the pockets, I guess on the pockets of that jacket was a number 54 and a number 17.
Okay, because the reason I'm asking is, like I said, the only game that Breeze beat against the Patriots, the score was 38-17, and obviously 38 equals Florida, where the Super Bowl is going to be this year. But I was wondering where the 17 comes in, and how you just say you saw 17 on the pocket.
Well, let's think about it. So 59 is the 17th prime, 17 is the 7th prime. Do those numbers have anything to do with this year?
Well, Brady's going for his 7th championship.
Okay, that's true. That's true.
And also, since you brought up the 19, I was looking at the scores. So combined, the Patriots, they beat New Orleans by 19.
What was the score again?
One of the scores was 20-36. That's 16, and the other score was 27-30.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be the battle of the old guys.
You know it equals 131. You know that as well.
Right.
And I noticed when you write out Super Bowl LIV, just SB LIV, it equals 19. And
LIV.
If the Super Bowl, SB LIV. That's how like they write it when they
SB, I got you.
Yeah, and I noticed that if the Patriots lose in the Super Bowl to New Orleans, they'll be 10-5 all time. Masonry equals 105 and 33, and the Super Bowl's on the 33rd day this year.
SB LIV 64 and 19. Saints is 19. New Orleans Saints is 64.
60, yeah.
It's also 71 like Catholic. Last year there was a big ritual with the Saints and the Pope. That's when they genocided the Redskins on Christopher Columbus Day, 71 days from the Pope's birthday. It's 71 and 35.
That 22 was on the VMAs. I mean, that to me, because, that's a big ritual thing whenever they do one of those large broadcasts.
Of course it is. So.
Yeah. I'm going to be paying attention to this, and whatever I find that I don't hear you say, I'll call in and I'll let you know. But, again, you brought it up to me initially with New Orleans, and New Orleans and Patriots are just looking kind of like they might be there in the end. So.
Sure.
And also, the one reason I'm saying that he kind of would have to beat Brady is because his only other Super Bowl was against Peyton Manning, who's considered one of the best quarterbacks. And like I said, Breeze was born in the year of the GOAT, so he would technically have to beat Brady to get that title. You know what I mean?
Sure, and that would go with last year's riddle. Yeah, the Daniel 8 riddle. So.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right. Well, I'll be paying attention. Thank you for this whole breakout that you did for the whole season. I'm actually printing that up as we speak, just to have that around me so I can pull it up whenever we're talking.
Tell me how many pieces of paper that is when you print it. And hey, just so you know, have you already printed it? Because there's a few more things I need to add to it. Because some of the teams don't have the distance and birthdays from the coach and QB. I still have to plug that in for about half the league. So you might want to wait.
Okay, no, I haven't started. I'll wait.
I'd wait a few days just to let me finish putting in all because it's almost all there. But it would be. I mean, you could always go and do those things by hand, I guess yourself. But I'll be done with it here pretty soon.
All right, I'll probably wait till the beginning of the season.
There you go.
To print it all up.
Yeah, there you go. All right, man.
All right,
take care.
Take care.
Okay, so yeah, I thought this Missy Elliott thing was pretty interesting last night. The 22 had a lot to do with her, but just the color scheme and the way they put sports and entertainment together. Caller?
Long time no chat.
What's up, man?
How are you?
Doing well.
Loved your all the NFL stuff you've done. So.
Hey, your boy Rory won the tour championship. He looked good to win that thing. He looked good for it.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, I'm winning money here and there, but I'm still kicking myself not taking Lowry in the British Open.
Hey, we talked about how he had good numbers.
Well, but also going back to the Canadian Open.
Right.
With him, with the whole thing with Lowry, so whatever, happens. But interesting listening to your Colts-Jets thing, because, when I heard Luck retire the other night, the first thing I thought about was the Colts-Jets Super Bowl.
Sure. Now, did you heard all the work I did on that? How that was on Vince McMahon's birthday and everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the interesting thing to me is I'm looking at I've been doing a lot of research since I watched you on all the Sam Darnold, USC guy, and then this Matt Barkley guy making comments about Luck retiring, and he's the backup to the Bills quarterback, and they all know each other from California, like they all played against each other.
Right.
But the interesting is, I heard a guy calling saying Matt, those guys named Matt is 54.
Right.
But Matthew Montgomery Barkley is 111.
And the other thing is that guy's born on September 8th, which is the 251st day of the year, which is the 54th prime. So I wonder what kind of year he's going to have.
And then, of course, if you go back to the Jets, historically, Jets versus Colts, we talked about that, the Namath game, right?
Right.
They were an 18-point underdog, and, of course, the Colts' 18 favorite would be Peyton, right, going forward. But the numerology of that game of the Super Bowl, when the Jets beat the Colts, right, That was January 12th, 1969, 101 numerology.
Sure.
And Sam Darnold equals 101.
Right. Right.
And then, of course, you're bringing up that Elway and the 33 connection with the Broncos.
Right. Right.
Elway's last season, they won in '98. He walked off with 2 wins. They beat the Jets in the AFC Championship 23-10.
33. Okay.
The 33.
Right. Right.
So when I heard Luck was stepping out, I thought of the Jets immediately, just because of their connection of those two. Yeah, there's some powerful stuff with the Jets, right? I mean, that's strong.
Right. And if it was Jets and Saints, they would meet in the Super Bowl 111 weeks after last playing each other. And I've been talking about that for a few months now, and now just last week we had the story of the death of the former NFL player Barry Bennett. He died 111 days from his birthday, and he played for the Saints and the Jets. So,
right, there's a lot in that Jets Saints matchup. I mean, obviously there's other teams that are in the mix. So, it's funny when I throw these comments out in our fantasy football draft. When I throw these little nuggets out. And then people are looking at me like, what the hell? Where'd you come up with that number? Where's that from?
Right.
You can't talk to people about some of this stuff like I can't tell them. It's, I don't want to ruin their fun.
Sure.
Sure. What? I already lost enough friends. I know you did too.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, I had somebody pull that conspiracy theory at me on again. Every time I say stuff they go, have you had an original thought in your life in a while? I mean, give me a break, right?
Sure.
Where's the conspiracy? Look at this. If
right.
That's not weird, I don't know what is. Now, I just won pretty good money today on Carolyn Wozniacki.
Tennis?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's something going on with her and Serena. Because Serena's was her bridesmaid in June.
Huh. Okay.
She married David Lee. Now, Carolyn Wozniacki was Rory's former fiance.
Really? Huh.
And, of course, once I saw her lose 6-1 in the first set, I bet on her.
To come back, okay.
That's a 61 number with Rory. And Serena just beat Sharapova 6-1, 6-1.
There you go. Right.
So there's something going on with Wozniacki in the U.S. Open.
Well, you might see what the final. You might have figured out what the final is already. There. Have you measured from the wedding to the final date of the tournament?
It wasn't a great date, but your boy's going to call in tomorrow night with a bunch of he's into the whole tennis thing, and we were just chatting for a while about it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The stuff, and it's like he of course he comes up with the bridesmaid, bride, and bridesmaid's always like the runner up,
Sure.
So of course and the only time they met in the finals in 2014, and it was Serena's 18th Grand Slam title. 61, 18th, 18th run.
Right.
And Wozniacki being engaged to Rory is there's something tied in with Rory for sure. And of course, Rory just won the Tour Championship.
That's right, yeah.
So Rory's one of these, we talked this, he's one of these anchor athletes for sure. There's a lot of people, riddles running through him.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't know who you've seen. Obviously, Tiger and Serena have been for years. Who else has been like that when it comes to that kind of stuff? Athletes that a lot of things ran through them.
Well,
for sure.
Off the top of my there's so many different webs, but pretty much everything. In the NFL, almost all the narratives run through Brady right now. It's just like how in the NBA, all the narratives run through LeBron. So
I think you're. The Saints you've seen. Even just talking about the last two Saints playoff losses is ridiculous, right?
Right.
The miracle catch, whatever you want to call that, and then the penalty that everybody said was a penalty, but they didn't call it.
The 61-yard Minnesota Miracle. Miracle 61.
With the penalty that wasn't a penalty, or wasn't called a penalty.
Everybody
thinks it was.
Right, by the former
refs.
Rams player. Right. Here are the Packers and the Cowboys. So
So I would say that when I heard, like I said, I go back to when I heard Andrew Luck retired, I immediately thought of the Colts because I know you were on the Colts 6 months ago thinking that they were a possibility, right?
Right.
Luck would get his. He would go 5-4 in the playoffs. That'd be 54.
Well, he was set up perfectly because the Colts' first win of this season will be the 540th win of their franchise, 5-4-0. Luck's first win would have been the 54th win of his career. His first win in the playoffs would have made him 5-4. So it looked like they had it all set up perfect, but it looks like now instead he's going to play in the XFL here. So
he'll probably come back, right?
I think he's going to come back and play for the XFL. I think that's what they're going to do. He'll play for the Houston Roughnecks.
You don't think he'll come back to the NFL eventually?
I think he's going to come back to the NFL and probably take a year off, 2 years off, and then come back. I think that's what we'll see.
Well, you know who they're reporting now might come back this year to play?
Who, Luck?
No.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Gronkowski.
Oh, I saw Gronkowski say he might come back in 6 months. He's a good actor. He's a good actor, actually.
He's pretty good.
That was the best sports acting I've ever seen. He needs an ESPY.
Oh, my God. So, the Jets and the Saints. Wow, the Jets been 50 years since that Super Bowl or whatever it is. That's crazy that they've only been at one time.
Yeah.
But then you have go back to the. Remember, we always thought that Zion was going to go to the Knicks, right?
And then it ends up being his teammate, and then he plays his first preseason game against the Knicks. Stuff is infuriating.
No, but look where he's playing now, though.
New Orleans.
Right.
Right. There's something up with that. New Orleans, New York.
New York.
Exactly. I've been thinking about that, and the two Duke players are there. So
now, let me ask you a question: are they rigging Little League World Series though?
Well, somebody just called and asked that the other day on the live stream, and I said 2 years ago I was watching the Little League World Series, and they made some comment about how the pitcher on the mound was about to set the record for consecutive strikeouts in the Little League World Series. And the pitch, and this kid was huge compared to the other kids. It wasn't even fair, but the pitch right after the announcer said that, like the next pitch was probably 1.5 feet off the plate, way outside, not even close. And the umpire rung him up, and I was like, okay, is that scripted? Did it like go perfectly with right after the announcer makes the statement, like they just had to call the strikeout no matter what? But it made me say, yeah, they must.
You saw who won the Little League World Series, right?
I didn't. Who won it?
Team from Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I said, is that rigged too? Because now we got this Louisiana theme going, right? You got Zion, goes to the Knicks, goes to the Saints, to New Orleans, the Saint thing coming up. You have all this New York. The Louisiana team won the Little League World Series first time ever.
Right. Yeah, that is interesting.
I'm like, is that? If they're rigging Little League World Series, then I'm really gonna have a hard time. There's nothing left. What's left?
Spelling bees.
What's that?
Spelling bees.
Well, that could be rigged. That could easily rigged.
Sure. Well, it absolutely could be, but I'm just saying.
Just give the people who are going to win the words, right?
Have them read off the teleprompter.
So the Saints, Jets would, certainly that's strong. I know there's a couple other teams in there, and you talk about the Seahawks equal 54 too, right?
No, just Russell Wilson.
Oh, Russell Wilson.
There's 5 teams that equal 54. So this is them. In the AFC, it's the Jets and the Bills. And in the Titans. The Tennessee Titans is 54. And then in the NFC, it's the Saints and the Redskins. And I don't think the Redskins have a shot. So.
Well, the Jets were set up once they got Le'Veon Bell, all this turnaround, right?
Right.
We got this great running back. He sits out for the season. You brought that up even last night.
And they've been just singing the praises of Sam Darnold for 2 years now. So.
But I think the USC connection with Matt Barkley, who was a big-time prospect from USC.
Right.
Then you had the Jets get Mark Sanchez, who was a USC guy.
Right.
That faded out, right?
Right.
And then you have Sam Darnold. So there's this USC thing. And then, of course, Jared Allen, the quarterback for the Bills, is the head of Matt Barkley. And all they do was talking about Luck. All of them. Like, oh, he was a great competitor. It's like they're all in the same club.
Right. That's a good point.
They knew this was going to happen. Not shocked that he stepped down. Like, what do you mean you're not shocked? how much? Why is he stepping down? Because he's got banged up a little bit. So yeah, the Jet thing to me, like I said, I go Jets, Colts. There's Darnold and the Jets and all this stuff, and it is just. But I said to somebody today, because we were joking, somebody I know follows tennis. Dickie V sent out a tweet last week. Let's get back to football. That Serena's going for her 24th Grand Slam tie to tie Margaret Court, and I think Rambo brought that up a couple months ago.
He did, right?
I go, don't you find it interesting that the woman who holds the all-time record for tennis Grand Slams is named Court?
Right.
And they're like, huh? I go, and just so you know, that's not her official birth name. They're like, well, she was married. I go, no, there's no record of her being married. So why is her name Court?
Right.
I don't know, because she's a tennis player? Like, they throw stuff out at people and they really get confused. Like, doesn't that seem odd?
Well, when I was younger, I was like in middle school when he was maybe also high school, but I used to always just think like, what is the odds of a guy with the last name that's spelled Satan playing for the New Jersey Devils, Miroslav Satan? So
well, there you go.
Yeah, hockey.
So we have this Wozniacki. Well, first of all, I just want some money on it. The Wozniacki Serena funds.
Yeah, that you're making a lot of sense with that, so I'm gonna have to look into it.
And the thing would be is it's tied into Rory and the whole thing with Serena and her being a bridesmaid at her wedding on June 16th, which is 83 days away. 83 days ago would be the funds.
Okay.
So I don't know, the numbers didn't really connect or anything, but Rambo's got some stuff that will tie it all in, and you'd be like, oh my God, somebody's birthday is June 16th. That's in this riddle, and I'll leave it for him.
Okay. All right. I look forward to it.
All right, man. Good chatting. Long time.
All right. Appreciate it, man. Good to hear you. Take care. All right. That was our resident golf expert. He's been on vacation. I just wanted to see what University of Southern California Trojans is, because I was thinking about that. He's like, yeah, that's true. You got two USC quarterbacks playing for the two New York teams with the 54 connections, the Bills and the Jets. So I see the old infamous 223-511 Saturn number. There could be something to that there, because Saturn's 511 in Jewish Gematria, and they say that every 54 weeks, it's like you get the best view of Saturn from Earth, the way the orbits are. So, I don't know. Maybe there's something about that. All right, but continuing to comb through this, Mariota, he had the 1-1-2 like so many QBs in the AFC South. So, we're still looking for our 54 and our 100 groups. The Chiefs, a lot of hype for the Chiefs this year. Chiefs is 50. Remember, this will be the 54th Super Bowl, which is the 50th Super Bowl of the modern era. Chiefs aren't a team to take lightly, obviously. Last year, they had the big 99 connections, came up short in the AFC South, which is a reminder, just because you have a connection to the numbers doesn't mean you're necessarily going to win, but 99 was the ritual with the AFC Championship. It was a span of 99 days from the Sunday night football game between the Patriots and the Chiefs. Brady got his 99th all-time away win. And Patrick Mahomes' full name is 99, and Patrick Mahomes Jr. is also 99. And, of course, last year he was the sensation of the league. Arrowhead Stadium 99. Andy Reid's full name 99. They don't have the 54 or 100 connections. The Broncos, they're not looking like a Super Bowl class team. They do not have the connection to 54 or 100, but they did start the preseason with quite the ritual. It was all about 34. And you know what? I missed that Fangio equals 34 in that decode of the preseason game. Remember, when you write out 100, it equals 34. That entire preseason game, the Hall of Fame game, it was all about 34. Vic and Fangio are both 34. Huh, that's interesting. It was 34 days from Elway's birthday. He won Super Bowl 33 with 34 points over the Falcons. That was the Hall of Fame game, Broncos over Falcons. Flacco's coming over this year. No 54 or 100, though. The Chargers are an interesting team to me this year. Los Angeles Chargers is 100. Again, if the Super Bowl really is going to be through the Saints, which is entirely possible, the Chargers definitely have a shot because they're Drew Brees' old team. And just think about like when Drew Brees won his only Super Bowl so far. He beat the Colts, right? And Peyton Manning was the quarterback. And Peyton Manning's father was Archie Manning, who did a whole lot of losing with the Saints. So the first Saints Super Bowl comes over Archie Manning's son in the rigged father-son league that it is. Drew Brees, he was the Doug Flutie of the league playing for the Chargers once upon a time. And Los Angeles Chargers is 100, so they are a team definitely to consider. And remember last year in the playoffs, the Chargers won the first round and then they lost to the Patriots. And Mebane, he lost his 13 days or 13 weeks or 13 months? I forget. The child was some span of 13 days, weeks, or months old. And of course, LA's 13. Sometimes it looked like it was a sacrifice ritual. If you want to go back and revisit all that work, there was a whole lot to it, the way it was synced up with Mebane, their season. Things like that are worth remembering because sometimes sacrifices like that are for a season to come. And the Chargers are definitely a team that should be competitive this year. So they're one of the teams that I'm considering in the AFC. Anthony Lynn, the coach, is also 54. So you got the coach and the team name. Phillip Rivers, one of the league's golden boys who doesn't have a Super Bowl yet. Old sidearm. And by the way, this year the Super Bowl falls on Phillip Rivers' 57th day of his age. We know that when you write out 57, it equals 131 like Super Bowl like championship. So that's another thing to consider there. Chargers, Saints. What a coincidence if it was. Okay. The Raiders. I don't see the Raiders in the Super Bowl this year. They'll probably go their first year in Vegas. I wonder if they'll tear down their stadium next year. Oakland Alameda County Coliseum's 101 could be a ritual for the 101st NFL season. Maybe not, though. Where would the A's play? Let's see. John Gruden doesn't have the connection. Derek Carr doesn't have the connection. I imagine the Raiders will be better than they were last year. Last year we pegged early in the season that it looked like Gruden would finish 93-99 with a coaching record because Oakland Raiders is 93, Gruden's 93, and then it was the 99th NFL season. That's exactly how he finished, 93-99. So, let's see. The Cowboys. Remember, the Super Bowl is 112 days after Jerry Jones' birthday. And actually, let me check one more thing about Jerry Jones on the subject. October 13th birthday. Hold on. October 13th, 2019 to 2/2/2020. So yeah, the Super Bowl is 112 days after his birthday. Super Bowl equals 112. It would also be his 113th day of his age, if you count the full span, and Dallas is 113. So I'm waiting to see. Oh, and speaking of which, with regards to the Missy Elliott thing last night, that had me thinking of Ezekiel Elliott. So if Ezekiel Elliott comes back 41 days after his birthday, remember, Dallas and Super Bowl are 41. His story's reminding me of Aaron Donald last year. Aaron Donald, 99, number 99, came back 99 days after his birthday for the 99th NFL season. That's where I said, okay, if you're betting on the Super Bowl today, Patriots and Rams is your best future pick. And some people won a whole lot of money on that. Okay. Let me I should look at the full name of Ezekiel Elliott. Let me get out his full name here. Let's see what kind of clue I could be missing. All E's. Ezekiel Elijah Elliott. 113 like Dallas. How nice is that? Of course it is. These Manchurians. Ezekiel Elliott, 67, the 19th prime, 77. What is it when you write? Is it when you write out 77? It equals 49, and Dallas is also 49. Ezekiel. Okay. Ezekiel, biblical name. But yeah, I'm watching for his return. I'm sure he's going to return. This just seems like a narrative. How's he going to miss this season when the Cowboys are like looking the best that they have in forever? So. Caller?
Hey, what's going on, Zach?
Hey, what's up, man?
I got something I think you can watch out for.
Okay.
Now, when you brought up Missy Elliott, and you said it made you think of Zeke Elliott, well, of course, 22 makes me think of Emmitt Smith. And there was one year he sat out 2 games before Jerry Jones said that he'll pay him the contract Emmitt wanted.
Right.
And then they went ahead to win that Super Bowl that year.
Right. Do you remember what year that was off the top of your head?
I want to say 96.
And Elliott equals 96. So,
Does he?
yeah, Elliott equals 96. So that could be what's up.
Yeah, because if he comes back, like if he misses 2 games and come back, you think that'll be a good sign, or you still looking at the 41 days?
Well, 41's just something that's coming up real soon, and that's the first thing I'm looking at. But yeah, if he comes back, if it's just like the Emmitt Smith thing, man, that could be right in your face. History repeating itself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a really great thought there. That's a great observation. I'm gonna do some work on that. I'm gonna go back and look at how that was. You know what? We'll even do it at the end of this live stream today. Once I finish going through the teams, I'm gonna go back and look at Emmitt Smith's holdout that year.
Okay.
All right, appreciate it, man. Good work.
No.
All right, take care. Okay. AT&T equals 41 like Dallas, by the way. So, and remember, the thing about the QB and coach for the Cowboys is Garrett's 100 and Prescott's 100. So how nice is that for the 100th NFL season? That's kind of just like, well, you got to keep in mind with that, though, that's just like the Chiefs last year. The coach and the QB both had the 99 connection. They went down in the AFC Championship. So the Saints, man, that Saints riddle, it still is my favorite riddle, but we've got to think more about some of these other things. Okay, the Eagles. The Eagles, what are they going to do this year? They don't have the 5,400 connections. Let's see. Doug Peterson doesn't have it. Wentz has a 50 connection. Super Bowl 54 will be the 50th of the modern era, but they're missing the numbers I'd like to see. And the Redskins do have the 54 connection, but I don't think they're the team this year. Not with Case Keenum. And let's see. Jay Gruden. Yeah, so Redskins do have... Did I note the Redskins are 54? Yeah. So they're one of the 5 teams, but I think they're the least likely of the 5 teams with a 54 connection to do anything this year. The Giants... they don't have the numbers. Caller?
Hey, what's up, Zach?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, so the caller just called about like Emmitt Smith or whatever.
Right.
Fucking yesterday or 2 days ago, Zeke actually tweeted about Emmitt Smith, about how he was gonna leave or whatever, how he left, blah blah blah, and it started all this commotion. And that's just crazy how he just said like Emmitt Smith was like the 22 and everything. I'm like, bro, why the fuck would you tweet about it? Like, why would you do that?
Riddles after riddles, man. Yeah, we're gonna look into that. So that was yesterday. You're sure it was yesterday? The tweet.
Yeah, it was yesterday or 2 days ago. I even saw it on my timeline, but then I saw it all over the news too, because like ESPN or somebody screenshotted it and they posted it all over Instagram, like making it more interesting and stuff. You know how it goes.
All right. As soon as I'm done scanning all these teams, I'm gonna look up all this stuff and see if we can find out something big here. All right.
All right, cool. I'm gonna try to screenshot it and send it to you.
All right. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, man. No problem.
See.
All right, bye.
Okay. Okay, so Manning doesn't have it. Pat Shurmur doesn't have it. Okay. So the Bears and the Cardinals are the only 2 teams in their 100th NFL season. Something I was thinking about with the retirement of Luck is maybe I should go and scan all the teams that have 233 connections, because Luck equals 223, just like Houston Roughnecks equals 223. Again, Luck and his father have big Houston connections. Because obviously the Luck retirement is a monumental riddle in part of the season, and we'll figure out more as we go along. So far I see the huge XFL piece, but there's definitely something there with the upcoming NFL season. So, Chicago Bears, 100th season. Them and the Cardinals, the only 2 teams in the 100th season. For the Packers, they're going to wear the 100 patch. They've been established for 100 years. Just remember, all these screenshots, they were taken months ago, so it didn't update the season count. Everything else is accurate about all of these screenshots. You just got to add +1 for the season count on all of these. So I wrote it down below for each one. The name Matt equals 54 forwards and backwards. We got some Matts to consider. Caller?
Good evening, Zach.
Hey, what's up?
Today I've been kind of scanning some of the NFL deaths, and it seems like there's a ton of Kansas City Chiefs former players dropping like flies right on the right dates.
Really?
Yeah, you got let's see,
Caller,
like 5'4".
Who's that?
Would be MacArthur. What?
Sorry, you cut out for a second. Somebody died on 5/4?
Oh, somebody died on May 4th.
May 4th.
It was MacArthur Lane.
MacArthur Lane.
Former Cardinal, and then he became a Packer, and then he ended up his career as a Chief.
Packers and Chiefs.
Yeah. And then on April 10th, the 100th day of the year.
He was 77 years old. Green Bay equals 77. We saw the death of Bart Starr 77 days before the establishment date of the Packers. And again, Packers and Chiefs was the first Super Bowl.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, good catch.
Another one I pointed out a while back was that Walter White.
Walter White, yeah.
For the Chiefs.
Right.
Yeah, he died on the 100th day this year, April 10th.
April 10th, okay. Yeah, 100th day of the year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of Chiefs dropping right at the right times. So I don't know.
I got to make
It
a
seemed
note
like
about
we
this.
saw that with the Rams last year too.
I got to make a note about this here. Walter White and MacArthur Lane. Yeah, that's really strange. Those two guys.
Yeah, it is strange. So let me look at the 54th day of the year. I can't remember what day that is. Yeah. Oh, it's 223. 223 day is the 54th day of the year, right?
Say that again?
February 23rd is the 54th day of the year.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Let's take a look. I think there was another guy that died that day.
The Chiefs guy that died on May 4th died 49 days after his birthday or his 50th day of his age. And Chiefs is 50. Is it also 49? No, it's just 50. NFL and Super Bowl are both 49, so that's interesting.
All right, I'm pulling up February 23rd right now. Stupid thing. Takes a while to load here. Oh, no, that was... Oh, yeah. Okay. No, that was something else. It was Mosi Tupu has nothing to do with this year, but he played for the Patriots and the Rams, but he died on the 54th day of 2010. Lofa Tupu's father. So I was wondering, why? Maybe they killed him a day late. I don't know. It seemed like it would be the 53rd day they would kill him. But
What? They did it... So, who was that again, and what day did they die?
it was Mosi Tatupu,
Uh-huh.
Lofa Tatupu's father, played for the Patriots and the Rams, but it was back in 2010 when he died.
Okay.
On the 54th day of the year.
Okay.
So that might be one of those things where they bump it up a number, one number away. We don't really focus on that, but I thought, well, that's just strange. I definitely feel like it's going to be NFL-related death on the first Sunday games.
Right.
This year, and probably on the third week, maybe the third week on Saturday, the third NFL week, probably that Saturday, 9/22. And there's gonna be a lot of stuff coming up. So.
Man, that Walter White who died on the 100th day of the year, his name equals 54, just like if you write out 100.
Yeah, well, so does that MacArthur, the other guy I was talking about.
His name equals 54 too?
Cipher. Yeah, in the reduction, right?
Yeah, crazy.
MacArthur Lane. So, yeah, that might be a big riddle there.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, those are great reminders.
In the past, you probably noticed these things, these deaths on certain days that Gematria lining up. What does that usually mean at the end of the season?
Well, it doesn't always mean championship, but oftentimes, there are deaths. So it's like last year. Last year, all of the owners who died last year, their teams were in the playoffs, but none of them made it to the Super Bowl. So...
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. Yeah, there was there's been like 5 owner deaths in the last year.
Yeah, last year, all the teams that lost an owner made the playoffs, but then they lost in the playoffs. So.
Yeah. Well, all right. We'll keep observing.
All right, man.
Let's get back to the decode.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
All right, so 2 dead former Chiefs. They also played for other teams, but they both played for the Chiefs. One dead on the 100th day of the year, the other dead on May 4th, 5-4, and both of their names 54 in the most pure cipher. So, and when you write out 100, it equals 54. That is really interesting. So Trubisky and the Bears in the 100th season. The coach Matt, just his name, Matt's 54. You got a number of Matts though in the league. A lot of people like the Bears this year. I saw ESPN reported last week that the most money for the 2 teams before the season begins is the Bears and the Browns, which is very interesting. B&B, right? B&B, what day is the Super Bowl? 2-2, B's the second letter. Caller?
Hey, what up, Zach?
Hey.
So, the NFL, after 20 years of being banned, they're going to approve
visors for their helmets. And guess who's the number one fan of wearing visor? Is the number one NFL pick.
Well, I was gonna. Now, I was funny. I was just talking about the Bears because it makes me think of Jim McMahon. But who's that?
Yeah, Kyler Murray.
Oh, Kyler Murray. Okay.
Yeah, number one NFL pick.
And he's playing for the Cardinals' 100th NFL season.
They made NFL made a partnership with Oakley's.
Okay.
So, Allegiant Stadium. It's named after an airline company based in Vegas. And the thing is, it happened to coincide with the name. They can call the nickname of the stadium the Big Al, as of the former Al Davis, the big Raiders legend.
Right.
They can nickname the stadium the Big Al or the Al.
Okay, interesting.
And also, they invited Carrie Lloyd to an NFL team to kick in an NFL preseason.
Huh.
So I'm not sure if she's gonna go for that, but some interesting news. One last thing. LaRon McClain, he's actually asking for help in the NFL. He's suffering from headaches. He was a fullback for the Ravens,
Right.
and he used to wear the same number of that running back that killed. One of his numbers he used to wear 33. LaRon McClain. He's complaining of head issues, and he's asking for NFL for help.
Okay. Good information. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks, Izzy. All right, take care, man.
Bye.
Okay. So the Vikings Hey, what just happened? Oh, there it goes. The Vikings, two things that are interesting about the Vikings this year. One is that Cousins' surname equals 100. So that's their 100 connection through Cousins' surname. But the Vikings have the most primetime games the second half of the season. And those games can get flexed out, but it's interesting it's scheduled that way before the season begins. You know, typically that's a sign that a team's due for a good season. And of course the Vikings, they've been good for the entire time they've been under Mike Zimmer. But Cousins is one of the QBs with the 100 connection. All right. The Packers. We saw the opening, the first game of the preseason. Two major rituals with two Notre Dame players perfectly synced up with the Notre Dame Fire. And both paying tribute to the numbers 154. And I thought, that is really interesting how they orchestrated these stats. The first preseason game of the Packers was 116 days after the Notre Dame fire on April 15th. Packers is 116. And what was the other part of that? My mind is slipping right now. Oh, Notre Dame made me think of the Catholics and the Jesuits and Jesuit Orders 54. And then that game was synced up with the off-season shooting story. There was supposedly a story out of Wisconsin where a guy wearing an Aaron Rodgers jersey shot a firefighter, and then J.J. Watt made a donation. We'll go back and revisit that another time. I covered that the night we did the preseason games, went over that story thoroughly. But it was all a perfect ritual. It was all synced up with Aaron Rodgers in the first preseason game and the first game of the NFL season with the Bears. So those things just have me wondering, what kind of season are the Packers in for? And their defense is supposed to be a lot better this year. So they got the coach with the 243 Gematria. Remember, this is the number that has a relationship with 54. His name's also Matt, another 54 name. And this will be the Packers' 99th season, but they'll be wearing those patches because they were established 100 years ago. August 11th, 1919, Green Bay's 77. Bart Starr died 77 days before August 11th. All right. I just want to document this thing about 243. Again, we talked about that. The beginning with the death of the Steelers coach 243 days after his birthday. His name Darryl Drake, 54. Aaron Rodgers this year, the Super Bowl will fall on his 63rd day of his age. Aaron Rodgers equals 63. Last year I called the NFL league office over the 63 ritual with Aaron Rodgers. Monday Night Football, he got his 63rd win in Lambeau in his career history over his favorite team growing up, the 49ers. 63 points scored. They couldn't have scripted it any better. I thought the Packers, it was a nail-biter of a game. I told people last year, for those of you who were here last year, we said I thought that was the easiest pick of the week, that the Packers would win that game. 63 date numerology, big Aaron Rodgers number. So this year, though, the Super Bowl is on Rodgers' 63rd day, which is definitely significant. And again, just this coach, Rodgers and the coach have an awesome alignment with the Super Bowl. So, Lambeau Field's got one of those 233s, that big Andrew Luck number. Okay. The Lions. Again, we had the Lion King. The Lions, the last time they won their division, it was synced up with the Lion King film movie, the old one back in the 90s. Now we got a new Lion King movie. Just makes you wonder. Hold on. Okay. Again, we got Matt Patricia, another Matt, 54. We got Matt Stafford, another 54. So we got the Matts. It's the right year to be a Matt. The Lions would be the shocker of the year, you know. Maybe they make the playoffs. I could see the Lions making the playoffs. Hard to imagine them winning the division. And I know one caller, he did a great decode about maybe 2 months back. But I just think there's too many better narratives than it being the Lions. So if they won their division, though, that would be a real surprise. Okay, NFC South. Of course, we got the Saints here. Most interesting narrative, in my opinion. New Orleans 54, Saints 19. It's Drew Brees' 19th season. It's 2019. The Super Bowl's on the 19th day of his age. He's going to be 41 years old. The Super Bowl number, just like how Brady won at age 41. Patrick Sean Payton equals 251, the 54th prime. For one more 54 for the Saints, as if they needed another one. Mercedes-Benz Stadium is 100. It's the 100th NFL season. So the Saints really got it going on. And this will be their 53rd year. Remember, 53 is a magic number in football. That's why you got a 53-man roster, a 53-yard wide field. It's the shape of the football. That shape in sacred geometry is the Vesica Piscis, which equals 53. We've documented all the recent deaths connecting to New Orleans. You just saw the death of the 54th governor in Louisiana. You just saw the death of the news anchor person, Nancy Parker, whose name was 54. There's been more. They lost a well-known jazz musician in the city at age 100 recently. And that story, the death of that jazz musician, let me see. Off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure he died 208 days before the Super Bowl. And New Orleans Saints is 208. I know I did a video on it. So Patrick Sean Payton's 208, like New Orleans Saints. That's why I realized I got to start looking at the full names of people. So that's why I did it this year. Because normally I'm just looking at the name we call them by. But there's definitely some gems in the full name. So Saints, man, it's just... And that's the other thing. Pope Francis is going to turn 83 years old this year. Remember, Saints equals 82? Last year, the Saints became 8-2 on Pope Francis's 82nd birthday. Monday Night Football. So this year he turns 83. Football's 83. And I forget how his birthday syncs up with the Super Bowl. His birthday is December 17th. That's the day he'll turn 83. That's Pope Francis. 47 days before the Super Bowl. Vatican's 47. Francis is 47. So. Okay. Breeze and Drew both 22, like how the Super Bowl's on 2-2. The Falcons. It's going to be their 54th season. Jesuit orders 54. Arthur Blank, the owner. That's what else I need to add to this document. I will do that. I got to plug in all the owners too. So that's one more thing I want to add. But Arthur Blank's Jesuits, their 54th season, which is interesting. Dan Quinn doesn't have the numbers. You got a Matt Ryan. You got a Matt here, so you got a 54 connection through Matt. The Carolina Panthers. They don't have the 5400 connection. Ron Rivera. Nope. Cam Newton. Nope. So they don't have the magic numbers. The Bucks, they have extra gematria because they're the Buccaneers and the Bucks. People know them both ways. They do not have the 54 or 100 connection. And Arians does equal 100 though. Bruce Arians, their new coach. Winston's got the 54 connection as well, so could the Bucks be a surprise team in the NFC South? So the coach and the QB got something going on. The Bucks were a real interesting team last year. If Winston had a breakout year, perhaps they could be a wild card team, maybe. Best case scenario. I don't see them finishing at the top of the division. I'm pretty sure that'll be the Saints. Okay. The Rams. I don't think they have the magic numbers. McVay is 19. It is 2019. So I'll note that he's got the right last name for the year. And Jared Goff. Nothing really cracking. The Super Bowl is on Goff's 112th day of his age this year. Super Bowl's 112. So last year it was 112 days after his birthday. He was there, but he didn't win it. Let's see here. The Seahawks, they got Russell Wilson. He's 54. Pete Carroll doesn't have the numbers. Russell Wilson's 54. Always a big number with Russell Wilson. Look up the highlight. You can still find it. Just like do a search on YouTube afterwards for Russell Wilson's 54-yard touchdown play. ESPN did a segment and showed how he was like a player from a video game. You'll find it. His crazy 54-yard touchdown. So, and again, this year his first game is against Cincinnati, his hometown, which is interesting. The Cardinals, they got Kyler Murray. You might recall the ritual sacrifice that was done just before the draft for Kyler Murray to go number 1 to the Cardinals. I have to go back. I cannot think of that player's name right now, but one of the twisted rituals. This Kingsbury, the new coach for the Cardinals, his name's 54. So probably why this is his debut season. And, Kyler Murray's 167, the 39th prime, like Arizona's 39. Murray's also 39. So is Sooners. Let's see. The Niners, let's see. Thought they had something going on. What was it? The Super Bowl's 50 days after Shanahan's birthday. San Francisco's 50. It'll be the 50th Super Bowl of the modern era. Garoppolo, they're missing the key numbers, though. 49ers could be a surprise team in the NFC West if Garoppolo played lights out. I think that division could be wide open this year for who finishes in first. If the Rams aren't the team they were last year. Let's see. Yeah, and that's it. So, there's only so many 54 and 100 connections. There's not a lot in the league, so I would really start analyzing the teams with the 54 and 100 connections. I got to finish plugging in the distances from birthdays to specific games because I really want to go over that and see if we can find anything major in some of the alignments of the games this year. But just until the season starts, I just want to just day by day just pick a little bit of this information apart and just zero in on certain things, and might spark my mind or it might spark one of your minds to get us to where we need to be with our first season pick. But that said, I wanted to keep this to about an hour. We're at an hour and a half right now. I'll get this version updated for the few notes we added here so it shows up in your document. And we're not going to do this tomorrow night because I have my radio show, but we will do it again Thursday night and maybe Friday night. I might need to take a break. I've been working way too much lately, but yeah, some of you guys who might think I took a break this weekend, I ended up working more this weekend than I normally work. And I already work more than I should be. But anyway, we are going to do this as much as possible from now until the start of the season. I just want to go over as much possible, get as many good ideas out there, get as many conversations and calls as possible. See if we can iron it down. So, great calls tonight. I know it is a morbid subject, but going back over the deaths that have happened this offseason, oftentimes they are riddles, just like how that guy pointed out the two Chiefs deaths. Both guys with the name 54, one dead on 5/4, May 4th, the other guy dead on the 100th day of the year. And again, 154. In the most pure cipher, 100 is 54. 100th NFL season, Super Bowl 54. So that's, again, why we're looking for the teams that have the connections to these two numbers, just like how last year, the two teams that met in the Super Bowl, which we identified before the season began, had the strongest connections to 99 and 53. They were the Rams and the Patriots. And the Rams' connection to 99 was through Aaron Donald and his 99-day holdout. Oh, I said before we go, we'd look at the Ezekiel Elliott and Emmitt Smith thing. So actually, let's do that real quick. My lady's going to be mad at me because I'm supposed to be making dinner right now. But hold on, we got to do this real quick. Ezekiel Elliott Twitter. I did hear somebody say that Ezekiel Elliott's training with Marshall Faulk. I just saw his face up on the screen, so I know that's going on too. I'm not good on Twitter. How do you get to his Twitter page and see his actual tweets? I'm really bad at Twitter. Caller?
Hey, Zach, before you get off, I just wanted to ask you quickly, do you think there would be any reason to look at Super Bowl 20 since we're going to be in the 20 year?
Super Bowl 20. Well, there oftentimes is riddles between the Super Bowls. It's just like the year that the Broncos won it. I said it'd be a tribute to Super Bowl 24 because they got wasted in Super Bowl 24 by the 49ers, and then they went on to win with 24 points. So
Okay, so it possibly can play some sort of role.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Because I looked at it just glancing, and I saw that it was technically the Patriots' first Super Bowl that they were ever in, and it was in Louisiana.
Yeah, that's a great observation. Super Bowl.
Yeah. So
All right, hold on. Why? How come when I did a search? Oh, right, because it did 2020 Super Bowl 20. So that was that's where the Bears wasted the Patriots 46-10 with the revolutionary 4-6 defense.
yeah.
Okay.
And I think another funny thing about that too, I just saw it said that they broke a couple of records. Whether the records were, I think they held the Patriots to the fewest rushing yards ever in a Super Bowl game. It was 7.
7 rushing yards in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
That's that revolutionary 4-6 defense, Chicago 46. Huh.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
crazy.
All right, man. Yeah, good thought.
No,
but that could be
into it, but I just wanted to know if it was worth my work.
Well,
if I should dig deeper.
Well, yeah. I mean, the Saints and Patriots is definitely a real Super Bowl potential matchup. So, yeah, that's a good one. All right, appreciate it, man.
All right, no problem. And one last quick thing. Emmitt Smith, that lockout was in '93, not '96.
Elliott also equals 93, though. So.
Oh wow. Okay.
So that still matters then. Okay.
All right. Yeah, it looks like we got a lot of work ahead of us.
All right. Yeah, appreciate it.
Bye.
And also about his observation about Super Bowl 20, the Bears won it, and the Bears are now in their 100th NFL season. It's the 100th NFL season, so that could be something. That could be something. Yeah. It's 34 Super Bowls later. If you write out 100, it equals 34. Okay. Emmitt Smith lockout. Or not lockout, holdout. Holdout season. So 1993. Cowboys' journey towards more than the running back Emmitt Smith held out the first 2 regular season games. Let me see if I can get there. So he missed the game against the Redskins and then the Bills, the 254 teams. So think about that. We're talking about how this could be a parallel from history. The Redskins and the Bills are 2 of the 5 teams in the league with a 54 connection. 54 and 93 are numbers with a relationship. The word sun equals 54. They say the sun's 93 million miles away. Elliott equals 93. This was the 93rd NFL season. I think Dallas Cowboys equals 93, if I'm not mistaken, actually. Maybe not. Maybe not. Or is it Cowboys? No, I guess not. Okay, I take it back. They don't have a 93 connection. But I know Elliott is 93. And Missy Elliott, she had a 22, a 54, and a 17 on her jacket. You add those 3 numbers together, they sum to 93. So, let me see something. Emmitt Smith birthday, May 15th, and this 93 season, it doesn't show the date of that game. Emmitt Smith went on to play for the Cardinals, didn't he? Cardinals, Cowboys, box score, September 1993, September 19th. So his first game back, let's just see how that was. May 15th, 1993 to September 19th. His first game back was the 19th of the month, right? Here we are in 2019. 127 days, 31st prime. Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, 127. What's Emmitt Smith equal anyway? How did he... Actually, I got to make sure I spell his name right. Emmitt James Smith III. Emmitt Smith, 67, the 19th prime. Emmitt James Smith without the 3 is 100, and that's kind of cheating now. Oh, look at that. Emmitt James Smith III, 127. His first game back that season was 127 days after his birthday. That's how they do it all throughout history. So, bam. Yeah, there's something up there. That was 93. Elliot's 93 in the most simple cipher. You know. Now that I'm thinking about the sun, right? The sun's a star. The sun 93 million miles away. I'm gonna marinate it on it some more. But yeah, let's wrap it up there for now. And Martin Brown. Glad I just checked the chat. Martin, you were sending it to my other email yesterday because I told you to send it to Gematria Effect Sports. Your email is in my Gematria Effect News. I do have it. Right here. Caller?
Hey, sorry to bother you again. You were just going over the Emmitt Smith thing. There was a player named Dallas Smith, Dallis Smith, and his full name is Dallas Kevin Smith, and he's 54 years old right now. Former player.
Who did he play for?
He looked like he played for Seattle in 1987.
Huh.
His full name in English ordinal equals 187. I feel like he's going to go down this year.
Very interesting.
Yeah, putting together a little list of players I think might be off, so I can observe. But anyway, I thought I'd bring that up since you were talking about Dallas and Emmitt Smith.
He played in 87 and Cowboys equals 87 too, so that's interesting.
Yeah, that might be a connection there.
Yeah, could be a little riddle. All right, man. Good work.
All right, thanks.
All right, appreciate it. Hey, Martin, I do have it. I'm going to have to figure out a way to make it bigger. There we go. So, whoops. It's a little bit blurry. I don't know if you guys can make it out. These are the stats for teams in week 1, their winning percentage. So, we'll come back and we'll do this another night. My lady is going to kill me if I don't make dinner, so I don't want this to be my last live stream ever. Let's leave it there for tonight. We hit the 54s and 100. Kyle Michael Shanahan. Oh, I must have missed something. There with the 49ers. Kyle Michael Shanahan was 100, the 49ers coach. So, yeah, 49ers are a team that could surprise the NFC West. I mean, every year there's surprise teams in the NFL. 49ers, they have a decent defense. If Garoppolo comes out and plays like a stud, they could win the NFC West this year. So that's something that wouldn't surprise me. Seahawks got rid of a lot of their best players this year. Rams could regress. Yeah, 100. I missed it. Good catch. And notice how Jimmy Garoppolo, his full name's 118, like how we've learned how that's such an important number to the history of San Francisco, 118. Notice both of their full names are 343 too. That's the product of 7 cubed. 49ers, 49 the square root of 7. So, again, go back through, comb through with your own eyes. There's always more. Sometimes I miss things. But thank you for emailing me the death list. We'll go over all that. Martin, you can send it to either email because now I'll know to check both. But, yeah, Dave, I see Dave's comment about Barry Bennett, BB22. Super Bowl ritual for 2-2. No doubt about it. His name was 54. The Vikings owner's 54. I'm going to get all the owner information in there. So that's another thing worth looking at. Caller?
Hey.
Yeah?
Hey, Shaq. Remember I was telling you about the NFL approving the visors?
Uh-huh.
Well, but next year Super Bowl is going to be 2020. Kind of like vision.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I get it. Huh. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Just thought I'd put that out there.
Yeah, good one. Thanks, Izzy.
All right.
Yeah, 20 years, 2020 season vision. Raw Honey New Orleans says Drew Brees equals 100 in Jewish ordinal. Some of you guys have told me that you've been using those Jewish ordinal ciphers and you've had some success with it. Personally, I've never used those, and I've just seen that the riddles are always through the ciphers we look at. I think if you look at too many ciphers, it can muddy the waters. But that could potentially be one more thing for the Saints. So, okay. Check my sports. Are you sure you sent it to the sports one? Because yesterday you thought you were sending it there. Let's see. All right, looks like you did. All right. All right, perfect. Here are the week number 1 NFL records. Let me bookmark this so I can come back to this later. Here are the week number 1 NFL records since 2010. The best SU record is 7-2, while the Browns are 0-8-1. Best ATS record is Miami at 6-2, while the Colts are 1-8 ATS against the spread. Lions, Packers, and Broncos are combined 21-3 with the over/under. Okay, so here, let me see if I can post this link in the chat so everybody else can get this. It looks like it's there, so everyone should have that. If you want to search for this guy, Ralph Michaels at Cal Sports LV on Twitter, and he posted this August 20th. But yeah, that could be some good information for week 1. So, Dave says, can we narrow down the playoff teams? Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to try to figure out who I like to win each division before the season starts. So, again, teams with the 54 and 100 connections are the ones I'm going to be most interested in. So, NFC West would probably be one of the harder divisions to figure out. But yeah, let's wrap it up for here. Be back. We won't be back tomorrow night on this. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow for the baseball decode. I don't think we'll have a technical glitch tomorrow. But Thursday night, we'll do another football one. So have a good rest of your evening. Until next time, Truth Seeker.